Okay, so in Moulage, we like to start, especially if we're applying like fake prosthetics or using this latex glue, it's good to have a smooth surface. So if there's a little hair on our model or our victim for the day, we're going to get rid of that hair. We're going to simulate a wrist injury, and I just want a little bit of the bone to be simulated coming out of the skin. We call it like an open fracture. I like to put some base color down under the prop that I'm using just to add some dimension and make the injury look more realistic. In Moulage, the goal is to mock these injuries, and so we want them to look as realistic for the first responders as possible, just to simulate the real world. So I'm gonna start with the base. And I'm just mixing, I'm taking a few colors and I'm taking them and I'm mixing them with this textured sponge, and I'm just going to add that color, and that gives it more of a realistic look of an open injury. Right now I'm doing a brown, a charcoal color, and some red. And I like to drag the textured sponge, and that can give like the illusion of like road rash. That's what we have so far. What I'm going to be applying onto this prosthetic that I'm going to put on is just some skin adhesive. In special effects or Moulage, there's certain kind of glue that's safe for skin, and it's able to come off with water, but it's strong enough to withstand whatever simulation that we might be doing. I like to spread it evenly on the back, and I wait for it to get a little bit tacky, and that makes it adhere better to the skin. So while that is drying a bit, I'm just going to add some more dimension to this. I might put a little cut down here. If there's one injury here, there's usually going to be other injuries, and that makes it look a little bit more realistic as well. So now that it's tacky, I'm gonna put it on over where the bone is and where it would possibly stick out. So we have that so far, and it's still gonna be drying on his skin. To make it look more realistic, I'm going to use some simulation wax and kind of build the illusion of skin that is opened up around it. Liquid latex is really good to use as well if you're looking for texture or like raised surfaces. I'm applying the wax. I'm going to simulate a cut right here. It allows it time to get tacky and just stick to the skin. If you keep messing with it while it's drying, it's going to keep coming off and make your job a lot harder. This is simulation blood, which really gives lifelike effect. And I like to just put it in the pretend wound. It stays a little soft. It'll become a little dry, but it mostly stays soft. Setting powder can be used to kind of like lock it in place. You can use any brush, and if you just splatter it, it kind of gives just the speckled effect of blood, makes it a little bit more realistic. And now that this liquid latex and the adhesive has dried, it seems like it's really not going anywhere. At this point now I can build around the fake injury with the wax. So it's important to never dip what you just use from the skin onto your makeup supply, because you just don't want to get germs in the supplies that you use if you're doing it on other people, if it's your own personal makeup. it does not matter. I'm not only putting the wax onto the skin, but directly onto the prosthetic, just to further blend it and make it look like part of the skin. There is a group of us who usually do the Moulage application. It's people who have gone to a class or had training for this specifically. Typically our own firefighters. There are people who just do this as their main job, but typically we can use our own employees to do the Moulage for our trainings. Now that the wax is on, obviously that does not look blended. It just looks like a whole bunch of mess right now, but that's what the pigments are for, to really just bring that to life, and it'll end up looking like broken skin. Where there's like divots or cracks in the wax, I might add some darker colors down low. That just gives the illusion of it looking like a deeper injury. But you don't just want to cover the area in just one color, because that's not very realistic. I think this helps from the perspective of a firefighter, because this makes our training scenarios more realistic. It's easy to talk things out or kind of be in pretend land all the time, and while this is pretend, it gives you the realism and like the urgency that this is a real injury, and then we can more so train on treating that very specifically. Yeah, I feel like having seen like injuries on scene also helps the Moulage artist really simulate the injury. Having seen the real thing or makes your job easier, because you know what to simulate on the person. You're not just looking at a picture or using, your imagination. It's because of things that you've actually seen. Usually how I like to finish the Moulage is I always, if it's an open injury, and putting the simulated blood on gives that dimension. Like I said, it simulates that open fracture, and that's kind of the finished product. And that's how we would go from that little prosthetic that I showed you at the beginning of the video to simulating an open fracture. Thank you for watching. I am Firefighter McFalls, and that's a little bit about how we apply Moulage in the fire department.